Hi guys, it's Wade McMaster here. In today's video I'm going to be looking at the Get Wid blocks for WordPress Block Editor. Now I have recently done a video on the Ultimate blocks, which I think is funny because before I even released that video, these guys approached me wanting me to sort of review their plugin to replace, to add blocks, to the Gutenberg Editor in WordPress. So I thought I'd get onto it, have a look, and see what we've got. So now I have actually quickly checked it out, just so that way I'm not trying to come up with information as we go. That way I can give you a faster and sort of more entertaining video. But first of all, I'm going to show you basically where you can get these from. So I'm going to go to plugins and then add new. I'm going to type in GetWid, so GetWid. And see straight here we've got GetWid Gutenberg Blocks. So I'm going to install that. And then, of course, I'm going to activate it. It's now installed. So I'm going to start by just going through some of the really cool features first, and then we'll sort of backtrack. I'll try and cover a little bit of everything, but I won't cover absolutely everything because some of them there do require a little bit of setup, which I don't really... not really going to go through. It's only one or two. But before we even get started on that, you'll notice when you go to your plugins page here under Get Wid, you've got settings. So if I click on those settings, you see we've got some settings here that we can basically input. So Get Wid settings are on just on your writing page there, and we can disable some blocks in here if we want to. Otherwise, if you've got a Google Maps API, you can pop that in here. Recapture for contact forms and that sort of thing, or if you want to hook up to MailChimp, you've got API keys you can add in there, and also connect up your Instagram so you can have an Instagram feed on your on your page. So I'm not going to add these in this video because we're going to be covering so much. I figured that if it's something that people want to see, I can do a standalone video on it. So if you want to see anything about the Instagram feed, the MailChimp block, or how to insert recapture for your contact form on this or anything, just let me know in the comments below. But basically what we're going to do, we're going to start adding in some blocks, and we're just going to start exploring things a bit. So I'm going to go up the top to new and go to page. And I'm using the Divi theme, so naturally it comes up asking me if I want to use Divi, but I don't. I want to use the default editor. I'm going to call this one, just going to call this page Get Wid. Now the way that these work is when you go to add a block in, you've got your normal block editor over here. If I scroll right down to the bottom, there's Get Wid blocks. If I click on that, you see we get all these extra blocks that we can use on our site. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to create a table of contents, because what I'm going to do as I'm creating this, I'm going to go through, and every now and then we're going to slip back to that. We're going to do a preview and check out the page and see what it looks like. So I'm going to add this table of contents first. And as you can see, I can choose to have it automatically link up headings. So we're going to basically come back to this, but I can have a list style, or I can have none, it's just like some text. You've got some different versions, so we'll come back to that after we've added a few things in. So the first block I'm going to add in, so I'm just sort of doing this a little haphazard. I'm going to add in, we've already got the table of contents there. I'm going to add in a content timeline. So this is a pretty cool little feature. And of course, just before that, I'm going to add in here a heading. Let's type in heading. Content timeline. And in here we've got this little block, which doesn't look like much at the moment. But let's just say I'll call it section 1. Let's go. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in some dummy text. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, and I'm just going to add some text in there. So I've got some dummy text there on our little content timeline. Now, I can also say, this is where we started. And then if I want to, I can add another one. Let's say, whoops, I'm sort of clicking a bit all over the place here. Sorry, so I click on the heading. I'm just going to go more. Let's say, this is where we went, something like that. And I'll type in some dummy text. Now what's cool about this is I can add blocks in here. It's not just a simple case of clicking on what's already in there. I can actually add in image blocks. So if I want to go in and choose an image, I can go to media library, pick a picture of someone, maybe something like this, and just pop that in there, and then add another one. Even more. You get the idea. Finally. So what happens is we get this little like sort of link up that goes through and shows us this like visual flow where we can actually have this cool little history timeline down the page. Now what's also cool is if I want to, I can go here and I can actually, if I click on the actual full width thing itself, the actual block itself, under alignment I can actually choose to make it left or right, so I can choose what I want, or I can just have it set to auto, which basically goes left and right automatically. So that's a pretty handy sort of feature and pretty cool appearance. And I'm going to keep going from there, and I'm going to add another one. So we've done a content timeline. Now some of the visual stuff we're going to cut pretty quickly, but I want to add in a video pop-up. I've done videos in the past showing you how to create a video pop-up in WordPress, a little bit more involved, but this is actually a really handy little block. It creates a cool button. It's not the same sort of going through, but it could be a solution for you if you're looking to create something a bit more outstanding. So I'm going to go video pop-up, and I'm going to steal basically a link to a video on my YouTube account over here and just pop that over there. I'm going to say how to cut out, or maybe we'll just change it, we'll say play video. I'm going to add a title here. Whoops, I don't want one of those. Remove block. So yes, the blue here. I'm going to add in a heading. I'm going to call this one video pop-up. Now, I'm going to go through a few of the options here on this one here, so that way we can touch on more of it as we go, because a lot of the settings are actually quite similar throughout this this plugin. But basically, some of the individual settings on this particular block here, under general, I can actually choose to have an image. So if I go to media library, I can add an image. So let's just say we'll go tech brain, whatever that is. And that becomes kind of like a little thumbnail for the video. The button animation, we actually have a little pulse, so when you hover over it, you get this little pulse. Image animation, slide top. So you can create these cool little things here, cool little animations to go with it. I might actually replace that image with something else that's going to be a little more appropriate. So let's say this street. Now, as you can see, we've got a cool button in the middle of like an image here, and we do get a few options. Under advanced, you can do your usual CSS classes, but over at style over here, I can change the button style. I can actually put, say, border or outline, so you get a little outline around that, fill, and normally what you can do also is just put a little bit of text there. So I've got play video there. So if I actually remove that text image, we get this cool button. So that's where we can actually have the border, and we can make the button width, certain width, but I won't play with that. Outline or fill. So you can see you've got a few options to play with there. I really like the outline personally. I think it's a pretty cool looking little effect. And you can change the color of the button here, so you can go for that dull red, purple even if you want to. The icon color itself could be yellow or gray. And then of course the title color, it can be blue or gray, that sort of thing. So you basically go and add a custom color and really customize that button the way you want. So these sort of settings here are actually quite standard for the block editor and for this in particular. So I'm going to go back to general. So you can see how we have that button. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and add that background in there. You see we now have a purple play button. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this draft, and then we're going to preview it, and then we're going to be able to see the basically the contents. So I can click update here. As you can see, we've got some contents there. I can choose to change the list around if I want to, just like that. I can choose to have it ignore certain heading types, and you get the idea. So if I go to preview, and you can see we've got our title here. This is just a basic website I've got. If I click content timeline, it auto scrolls down. If I click the video pop-up, it auto scrolls down to that. So you can see you can automatically create a table of contents on your actual page. And if you set up columns, your basic columns that come with Gutenberg, that means you can have the table of contents off to one side, introduce the post on the left, and get people to simply click through to where they want to go from there. So that's a pretty handy little feature. You can see here we've got our content timeline. Section 1, let's go. As we scroll, the black follows down all the way through to the bottom. And we've got our video pop-up. So if I actually click on this here, you'll see the video pops up on the screen. Although there seems to be a bit of an issue with the video. Maybe I've got that actually put in incorrectly. So we'll cycle back anyway and have a look. Make sure I've actually got input that correctly. All right, so let's save that one and try again. But we've seen the video there, so let's actually get rid of that image. Quickly preview and have a look. And then after this, we'll add in a few more blocks so that way we can explore a little bit more quickly. So we've got play video. Yes, I had an error. I couldn't have the time. So you can see there we get a little video pop up that you can then watch as you normally would. This is a video I've just released at the time of recording this. Close that one down. So a nice little video pop up. Once again, play with your columns, add it where you want. Pretty cool effect. Now one thing I will do also, if we just tab back, is I haven't actually gone through a lot of the settings on this content timeline here. Well, you've seen these settings. I actually was wondering if they had the ability to change the color of these extra areas here, but it doesn't appear to be the case. Anyway, we'll move on, add a few more blocks. There's some really cool stuff in here. Go back down to Get Wid Blocks. Let's start at the bottom. Now, if you're looking for an anchor, so what I can do, let's just say we're going to go up the top again. Sorry, we're going to go to section. Now, this is got me a little bit confused when I started, and this is a good chance for us to really check out these settings here that are pretty much, they come pretty standard. But what I can do is add in like a heading. I can say, welcome. Oh, I've hit the wrong button again. Doesn't really matter. So I need to actually be, oh yeah, we're in the block. No, that's all good. So sometimes the editor's a little confusing with all the little plus symbols, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll put welcome in here. I'm going to add a button. So I'm going to go button. And so I'm going to say scroll. And then I'm going to just actually add a link to this button. I'm going to call it hashtag anchor. And we're going to come back to that one later when we actually put the anchor in there. Because the way that works is it automatically links down to a section of the page. So we've got our welcome and we've got our button. So on the block here, we've got a few settings. Now, what I want to start off with is the style. I'm just going to make the background gray or yellow just so we can see what we're working with. We can actually make the section a predetermined height, say 400 pixels, 600 pixels, that sort of thing. We can get rid of, whoops. We can get rid of the height altogether. The vertical space between blocks, we can actually make that smaller or huge. So creating space between the blocks inside this section is as simple as going through here. And the content area, we've got the vertically aligned top, bottom. Now it's actually not that big at the moment, so if I decide to make the section height 1000 pixels, at the moment it's down the bottom, so I can make it the middle or I can make it the top. But I'm going to get rid of that height. Because one thing that's very cool about this is there's padding at the top, which I can simply drag and make larger or smaller. And then the content area, horizontal alignment, I can change that around, but it's actually not really having an effect at the moment. But what I can do is simply align the blocks to the center anyway. And you see we've got something starting to form here. I've actually put in a block group, which is another cool option that I didn't actually mean to put this in here, but this is part of GetWid, is actually a button group. If you can see here, I go down to GetWids. I've got a button group here somewhere. Anyway, it should be up top, but button group. So you can actually add buttons in line across your actual page, which is pretty cool. I don't know where it is necessary. Button group, there you go. So we actually can have two here, so we can actually go nowhere. We're just going to leave that there like that. So once again, we're going back to our block. So you see we've got a few options there we can play with. We can actually make it a content area custom width. So you can actually really crunch that down if you've got text you want to keep within. So let's just say I copy some of that lorem ipsum, pardon me, copy some of that lorem ipsum in here. So I'll just quickly grab that, paste that in there. And if I go back to the block, so this would be where the horizontal alignment is, of course, center. So I can make this a certain width within the block. Now what's also cool is if I click here, and we've got a few options here, like this is just the alignment that we were looking at before over here. So vertical, horizontal alignment, the background color, and we can add an image. So I'm actually going to add in that same image we were looking at before because it's a nice dark image and it's easy enough to, although actually we'll go with something a little bit different. We'll go with this. Now this is pretty hard to read. So if I click on this block, I do want to make all the text at least a light gray. Maybe with this one, whoops. This one here, I'm going to make that one also a light gray. And these buttons, I'm going to make this one blue. Oh, sorry, we'll go back. We'll get clear. Make the background of this one blue. Background of this one will make red. So it's pretty cool that you can create these little blocks. You can create entire rows of content. Like you can keep adding your standard blocks within this section. But, and I'm pretty sure that includes columns. So if I want to include columns, you can see we can add columns in there, content within those columns. But this is when we're going to start getting to some of the standard options. So you're going to see these a lot. Now I can add in here things like padding, which I've done visually, but you can simply click in here and add in some padding, which padding is basically the inside of the container. But I can also change the margin, so space around the container. So I can make the space sort of huge or custom if I want to, and change how much space is actually around this section. Not going to worry about playing with that right now, but what's also cool is I can change that on tablet and on mobile. So depending on what device people are using, you can have full control over the spacing inside and outside of this section, which I think is a very, very cool feature. Now the overlay is something that's very cool with this. If I go, first of all, the background, I've got that selected, I've got an image, but I can also have a video from YouTube or the media library. So if I decide I want to pick a video, so let's say it's a video of me talking, so let's grab another video over here. So we'll go video, let's go YouTube, and let's just paste that in there. It's not going to be the best looking thing in the world. We're going to mute it because we don't want anyone to hear me talking, because if you're going to have this pop up on people's websites, it's something you want to do. Default, repeat, autoplay. All right. So because it's from YouTube, we do have that info at the top, but that's fine for now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to explore this a bit more, but I'm going to hit Save Draft. Now I was going to add in a few more blocks before I go back and forth, but this one is probably the most comprehensive and has a lot of settings and a lot of detail to it. And it's the one that allows you to do a ton visually. So I thought it'd be cool to check out. So the play button's popped up there. So we've got a problem, it's not playing. But you can basically see here that we got our block ready to go. I've probably done something wrong with the URL again. I don't know how I managed to keep doing that, but there you go. It doesn't seem to want to work for whatever reason, so I'm just going to remove this altogether. Oops. So there's a few little difficulties involved here. So I'm just going to go media library, leave it at that. We can also have a slider in the background if we want to. Gradient if we want to play with the gradients. There's some pre-existing here. For now, let's just stick with the background image. If we can play with the background settings, so you can have it scroll or fixed. So as you scroll, it stays in place. Change the position. So whether you want it top center, bottom left, we'll go back to default. Repeat. You have it contained, auto. So you got all the usual settings you would have if you were playing around. It's worth playing around with these because it's pretty straightforward once you have a look at it. But the overlay is a section I want to play with too, because let's say this is too interfering, this background. What I can do is add an overlay color of black and change the opacity, sorry, gray, not black, which sort of softens the image, or I can turn that off. I can go for, let's just clear that. I'd go for a gradient instead. So maybe I choose something like this. So that way you get this really kind of nifty effect. If you like that color, maybe you want to go off the green, but you can simply click here, change that color. Maybe we want to make that black and come across. We'll make this, say, a blue, make it a dark blue. We change the angle around. So we actually we can just have that subtly there in the background. That's a pretty nifty little effect and something you can play with. If you're looking to set up something very visual in a blog post or a page, this section in the GetWid plugin is actually pretty nifty. So let's just keep on going from there. First of all, I'm going to add in here, heading, call it section, so we can come back to that later. Okay, so we've got another block here. Let's have a look and see what we've got. So we've done these three here. Template library I will get back to. I'll do that towards the end, and that is probably one of the better options on here. But just to cut very briefly across a few of these, we're going to go to tabs. You can create so like a tabbed area with 3 tabs, and you can simply add in more tabs, delete tabs, and each tab has content. So I'm going to say tab 1, and of course we can go through, add images, all the usual blocks into each tab. We'll go tab 2, tab 3. And of course you can basically, as far as I can tell, you can rename these. There you go, so just highlight that text to tab 1. Now you got the tabs themselves. You can have title tags. We'll make that say heading 3. And then the layout might be, say, horizontal center, horizontal right. We've got vertical left, so you've got some tabs on the left, tabs on the right. We're just going to go keep that horizontal left. So active by default, we're going to have tab 1. So that's the one we want to have going by default. So that's basic tabs. We'll come back to that and check it out later. We're going to add another block in here, so GetWid. Now we've just done the tabs. The accordion and the toggle are very similar. Once again, we've got the accordion, which is, so I'm going to add in, say, 3 items. Once again, so we go number 1. We add in some content. Element 2, we say content 2. Once again, add in some blocks and things like that. These are pretty handy. I don't want to spend too much time on them because once you see the functionality, you'll be able to imagine what you can do with them by typing in. Like I said, if you hit enter at the end of one of these, you can click the plus button, add in pretty much anything you want within there. So it's pretty powerful that you can put almost anything in these accordions and toggles. So we're going to go add a block, Get Wid Blocks, down to the toggle. Once again, create 3 items. Very similar to before. We're just going to go toggle 1, toggle 2. Oops. Toggle 3. Now my understanding is the accordion, you can only have 1 item open at a time, whereas a toggle, you can actually have multiple items open. So I'm just going to go toggle here. Accordion. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm going to cover a few of these quickly because some of them are sort of fairly basic and some of them are a bit more advanced. We've got the toggle. Now the image stack library is very cool. We'll touch on this and then we'll go and check everything out. So the way it works is if I go to the media library here and I want to add a bunch of images, let's say I want to add this one, the headphones, and this one here, or maybe not that one, we'll go this one. So I've selected 3 images. I'm going to create a new gallery and insert that gallery. Now, you'll see here we've got these images, they're just sort of like spliced just like in these columns here. We can choose to change the size of the images. So you can see the quality change on some of those. I'm going to go back to full size. Now you can actually link to a media file or an attachment, but what you can do is actually change the style. If I go to alpha, they actually overlap in this vertical sort of fashion. Beta, they're same sort of alignment, but we got one behind the 2. Gamma, so the middle one stands out in the front. Delta, so we've got this cool little zigzag happening. So you can see some of these options are pretty cool. So this is a very artistic option. This can be really cool, especially once again, you start using columns and adding in images to the left or to the right of content. You can be pretty creative with a number of images without having to put them together yourself in Photoshop or something like that in order to basically get an effect. So pretty cool. This one doesn't have a lot of the extra settings, but if I go into edit here, I don't know if you can add a link to these. It doesn't appear you can. So it looks like the images are just there. So we'll take a look at some of those other blocks we've just added. I'm going to preview this one in a second. Okay, so you can see we got our page here. Now I've noticed that the actual contents hasn't updated. So you must have to actually update that inside the editor, but that's not a problem. We'll go past that. Well, for one, you can see we've got our little section there with our buttons. Now we've got our tab section here. Now auto scrolls down, which I find a little bit annoying, but you win some, you lose some. Number one, we've got our accordion. So it goes between one tab to another. And the toggle, which allows you to open more than one. And then we've got our little image effect here. So our 3 images, which is a pretty cool effect. And something that could be quite useful for people trying to get a little bit fancier, but don't have access to Photoshop or the skills to necessarily make it happen that way. All right, so I'm going to switch on back. Now, I'm actually going to get rid of some of these and get rid of this one. Now, I am going to click on this. Hopefully, I can update it because it's actually not carrying all. We've got accordion here, and for some reason, it actually still hasn't picked up on. So we'll just click update. There we go. It's updated our table of contents. All right, so let's keep on going through some of these very quickly. Back down to Get Wid Blocks. All right, so advanced spacer. This is pretty straightforward. So if sometimes content's too close together, you can have a space in between and change the height of that space. And the main thing between this and the other spacer is you can hide this spacer on mobile, hide it on tablet, or hide it on desktop. So you can actually create a spacer that disappears depending on what device you're on. So that's a pretty handy little thing. We'll move on from there. Okay, social links. This is pretty cool. So you click on each one of these, like Facebook, you pop in your Facebook page, open a new tab, and you've got your icon. Same again with Twitter. You go in there, put your Twitter address in there, Instagram. So you can actually have links off to all your profiles. The other thing you can also do is if you want to use, say, share link generator, it could be a good way to say share this post and actually have an icon there that people can use. So that's a pretty nifty tool. The other thing is if I click on this icon, I do believe I can change the individual. No, it's all the icons, but that's all right. I can center align, right align, left align, and layout. We've got icon, we've got background. So maybe there you go. We can actually change those colors there like that. Doesn't look too good, but it's there. Outline. So you've got a few different options there. The icon size we can change also. We can make them nice and huge. We can just go back to them being icons. Space between the icons, we can go small, or we can go large. So you got all the usual, just basic settings there, but pretty cool because you can actually add in links. This could be handy too for mentioning people, which is something else I do want to touch on as well. I'm going to add in some columns here because we've got a few I'm going to touch on very quickly. We'll go 3 columns. So here, I'm going to go down to Get Wid again. Whoops, I've sort of scrolled down past. One thing they do have in here is a person. So I go to the media library, pick a photo of someone. I think this is from a WordPress theme I used a while ago. Doesn't really matter. I can just say project manager. Manages projects. All right, it manages projects. Her name is Stacy someone. And then here we have the same functionality again, where we can add in links to their profiles. We can even add in an icon and pick what that icon is. So you've got a whole bunch of icons here you can choose from. So what have we got? Say TikTok. No TikTok. In case you wanted to watch the project manager sing. Let's have a picture of a horse. So you've got a few different things on there you can use. So that's a pretty nifty. This picture is pretty low resolution, so that it would explain why it's low quality. That's a very basic block, is the person block. But also something else that would be good to check out in a small space. We have icon. Now here is similar setup to this here, where I have an icon. I can actually pick what the icon is. I can search for something. There's 199 sort of pages of 12. So you can go through, you can search. So maybe I type in something like micros. Let's just go for a microphone. Now we can go something like this, where we have the background, and maybe we can go just the icon or the outline. So same before as what we had in the social media. The icon size can be changed. Make it as, type in 100 if we want to, although it didn't let me. There we go. Space around the icon, so we'll go 50. So we've got this nice space around the icon. The link, if you want to pop the link in there, we'll just go with a hash for now. All the usual options. You actually have, this is really cool, is the animations when you hover. So a wobble, slide left, zoom big. So you actually have all these cool little animation options, along with the same margin options as before to put some space around that icon. So that's a pretty cool little thing, is this icon. Another thing you also have here is, if I go down to Get Wid Blocks, is a circular progress bar. Now the way this works is you actually set the progress to wherever you want it to actually load to. So you might say you're 99% complete or 96% complete on a project. You can make the actual text bigger and smaller. Actually, not sure how this works. You make the thickness, the size different. It's a little bit of a strange one, that one, but you can find what you want by playing with it a bit. Now we can change some color, so the background color can be gray, or even a dark gray. Maybe we choose an orange, so you get like a bit of a full circle effect, or you can just clear it altogether. Although when I clear it, it comes up gray for some reason. Animate or not animate, you get the idea. Value, we can just say, completed 96%. If you don't want to have the percentage on there, you can just say completed this much. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's still a pretty nifty little feature. So all right, we'll go back down to GetWid and see what we've got next. Contact form. All right, so this is pretty cool because you can simply go in and create a contact form. You can add a captcha, name, email, message. So you've only got the basics. You can't really add a lot of different fields in here, but you can add a captcha, which you do need to go through and set up your reCAPTCHA keys, which I looked at the very start of this video. But we won't worry about that right now. It just shows you can add a form here with a secure captcha. The subject. So we can say subject. Now I haven't explored this too much because being contact form, there's not a ton of options, but the button has a few options. You can make the button different colors if you want to, make it as ugly as you want it to. But basically you can now, with this, create a basic contact form with a name, message, and email. You can also, so you can say it's required or not required, move it up, move it down. I do find it a bit funny you can't add anything else in there, but that's just all there is a bit with that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to save this and we'll check out some of these things we put together. And preview that. So you can start to see how you get this added functionality. We're going to go down to the toggle here and just scroll down. So we've got our little circular load here. We've got our mic. Maybe you've got a podcast. Now, for some reason, we've got these little dots here. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Could just be the theme. So I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. But we've got our person here. So I would say there's something to do with the theme customizing these items. So trying this out, see if it works with your theme. It may or may not. But we do have our contact form ready to go. And that's pretty cool. Okay, so we'll just tab back again to the editor. Now, because of some of that load time, I might just get rid of this, remove that block. I'm not sure what the issue is with these here in regards to the dots, but there's not really much we can do about that right now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to look, see what else we got left over to check out. Video pop-up, we've checked out, we're going down. Pricelist, this is pretty cool. Basically allows you to create priceless items, so you can just say, you know, burger, $19. Learn how to type. It's a burger. So the title tag can be heading 3. You got your price there, currency position. So don't need that one there. Divider. Don't know what the divider is necessarily for there. You can add an image if we want to. So we'll get a picture of that looks like a burger. Let's pop that on there. So you can create these little sort of price lists, which is pretty handy as well. Not a ton of settings on this as well, but it's still pretty nifty. Something you could use if you are listing a lot of items, like maybe you want to create a menu on your website. This is perfect for that because you can create a block per item, shuffle it up and down, add images, do that kind of thing. So let's go down to GetWid again. Now MailChimp, once again, I'm not going to explore this because I haven't got the API. There's not much to show, but one of the coolest things about this particular package is actually the image hotspot. Now, if I go to Media Library, I'm going to pick an image. So we'll go, let's go with this one here. Now, this is what I think is one of the cool features about this. If it's something that you could use, I can actually add a spot. So I can say USB port here. I'm going to call it USB. I can add a link if I want to more information or maybe a product, opening in a new page. But instead of doing that, I'm going to add in, this is a USB port. I can have it open by default. Not going to, but I can change the position here quite easily. Just moving the X and Y around. The tooltip position can change. We're going to go, we'll go top. Style. So I'm going to make this icon blue. Select the point icon. I wonder if they have a USB symbol on here. Look at that. Let's do that. Icon color, we'll go gray. And you can see we have this cool little USB symbol. So if I click on that, this is a USB port. And we can even click on that and duplicate it if you want to. If we have another USB port over here, we want to add a new one, we click off. And then maybe this time we say, let's just say watch. We can link off to the Apple website. Open by default. Say this is a watch. Once again, I'm going to go tooltip to the right this time just to be different. And style, just go green, gray. Now for some reason, that's down there, we're going to pop it there. Now I do want to, now as you can see, we actually get the information on the right here as well, which I didn't realize. So see that position on the right, if I change that to bottom, it comes up at the bottom, to the left, comes up to the left. So you can change where the tooltip comes in, which is pretty cool. Now the icon itself, I can change that to a clock. So you can create all these cool little tooltips that people can check out, which I think is it's a really cool option, because if you're trying to showcase a product and you want to put a lot of information on there, you can use these to basically point out features of it, and you can even add in. I'm pretty sure if I click on this here, well maybe not. Maybe I can add an image in there. I'm not sure. If you know basic HTML, you could possibly add an image in there. Not too sure. I'm not going to go through the whole thing yet, but that's a pretty cool little feature to add in there. You know, something if you want to point out features on a product. This is one of the cool things. I've actually had a client recently request this, and I purchased software to do it. Now I'm kind of wishing I hadn't. But you know, you win some, you lose some. Okay, so the next one we're going to add in. I'm starting to get through them all now. There's a hell of a lot here, so I might go through all these. Otherwise, this video is going to go for far too long. But we do have an image slider. media and text slider. You can add a basic table, a countdown. So you see we've got a basic countdown there. Anchor I was talking about before, so I'm going to call this one anchor. And you'll see, obviously, from the section we created earlier. Now this doesn't actually show up. It's actually just somewhere for you to scroll to. So if you have something that you want to be able to click and scroll to, having this anchor there, and then having in our section, scroll here, if the link is hash anchor, it should scroll automatically down to this area here where we're going to add another block. Now I'm going to go to the media and text slider, and we're going to sort of touch on this, and we're going to skip over a few of the other ones because it's very similar, just with a slightly different application. So I'm going to go and pick an image for this slider. Here, that's slide 1. I can just say slide 1. Cool stuff. And I can, I'm pretty sure, hit enter and add in blocks such as buttons. Yeah, there's my button. Slide 2. Let's go with this crazy looking thing here. Slide 3. Something a bit wider. Let's just go for that again. Heading. All right, so I've created a basic slider thing. So the other thing too is I can change the number of sliders here. I can make the images full size. You can go through content area width, same as before with that section. With the style, we can add overlays if we want to. So maybe you can change the opacity of the overlay, change padding. I don't think you can actually select the padding on this, but I can add, say, 20 and 20. So you can see the padding is a lot shorter now. So I'll make that padding 200 and 200, so it's going to be pretty big. And you actually add padding left and right too, so there you go. Under advanced, animation effect. Bounce in. So you can choose, let's just say bounce in to the right. Duration will go slow. Want it to slide or fade. Enable slideshow. Let's go. It's going to be very quick. Normally I wouldn't do it that quick, but just for the sake of the video. Now what's cool is you can have the arrows on the outside, on the inside, or no arrows. I'm going to go outside. The dots, you can have them on the outside. So outside is outside the image or inside the image. And same with the dots. We'll go inside just to show the difference. Now if I go in here, and go into GetWid, the image slider is very much the same thing. You're adding different images and that sort of thing. The icon box, if I just pop that in there, it's very simple. We have the same icon as before with a bit of text. The main difference is if I put my text heading in here, I've got an icon. I can do the same as before, same settings, but I can left align or right align. So if I'm actually adding in a decent amount of text, like some lorem ipsum, text title, you can add in icons that way. Now, change the icon size, and we can also vertical align it, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure. Not important right now, but you can see how you can create these cool little effects. And if you click it off, it goes up to the top center. So that's pretty much that one there. We're going down to Get Wid Blocks. Image slider, table, Google Maps. Yeah, you can add in a Google Map. I don't have the API for that, so I won't be going through that. The banner. Now I can't exactly remember what the banner does, so I'm going to just wing it a little bit here. So we got banner, heading, and more. So the banner itself, so there's a URL, let's just go hash, open a new tab. So that's pretty cool. It looks like we can actually just add in, kind of like the section, I guess, where we can keep adding in more, although I can't add in more blocks with this one. It's more straightforward. But you can see we got, we can change the text alignment. You can change the block height, the text width, same as before on the others. Change the style, so we may have the text orange if we want to, which would be absolutely horrible. a green overlay or a gray overlay. So it's just a cool little block animation. Cancer, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. There you go. We've got a few different little things there. So as you hover over it, you get these little funny little animations. So that's pretty basic by the looks of it. Just looks like it's simply a case of how tall you want something, bit of media behind it with a link. So pretty cool. We might save draft and have a look at what we've done again so far. Okay, so if I scroll down to our section here, click scroll, it takes us to our anchor, which is hidden in here. And we get a heading with our slideshow. So there's our little slideshow we've added in there. We've made it quite tall, but that's pretty cool. You can add in buttons and other functionality. So yeah, it's a good way to customize the site. Then we've got our little icon and text title area and our banner. If I click on that, it just sort of goes. So the whole thing is actually a link. So that's pretty cool. So it's like a clickable banner you can add onto your site. All right, let's keep going. GetWid. And we've checked out the button group. The image box, pretty cool. Add an image, type in some text, similar to the icon box, but with an image. We'll get back to that template library. Now this is very cool, the advanced heading. So if I type in a heading in here, the reason I like this is because you do have all your standard settings. I can make this 100 if I want to. Make the line height 100 pixels. Letter spacing I can actually increase or decrease. I can make that a heading 2. But what's also fun is under font family, we get a list of all the Google fonts. So if I choose something that's a bit more visual, like say a permanent marker, I can actually choose this regardless of whether I have this font on my website or not, by the looks of it. Heading, I can also choose the font weight, although something that has a bit more of a weight to it. I'll try, because Montserrat has a few weights. So you can see we can change the heading weight as well. So what's cool about this is you've got all your normal attributes, your color, padding and margin, which is actually added, but the ability to pick any font, make it whatever size you want. You've got font style, you can make it italics if you want to. You can text transform it, so lowercase, uppercase, and yeah, even get that letter spacing in nice and steep, so you have something that's barely readable, which is yeah, always pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, you can play around with your heading settings, pretty get a real custom look for your headings. Alrighty, so you've got an Instagram feed, once again not linked up, so I won't pop that in there yet. We've seen the button group. Testimonial is pretty basic. You got an image, add an image, and some text. It's actually probably one of the things I think is a bit sort of wasted, to be honest. I probably wouldn't put it on there. Keep going. We're at our progress bar. Similar to the progress circle, we can change the value. We can write a heading like completed. Progress color can be red, background can be green. You sort of get the idea. Basic settings for a nice little progress bar. Whoops. Counter. So we can add a number here. So start, we can even start at say 55. Whoops. So, you know, if you've got, say, 20,000 email subscribers, you can start at, say, 555 and go all the way up to 20,000 and have it count up like subscribers and counting. If you want to get fancy. Style, obviously you can change the way it works. The animation effect doesn't seem to be a huge difference. The 1000 separator we can put in there. 1000 and just to be a little bit silly. Make it orange, decimal places. So you got all these cool little Eastern Arabic numerals. That's pretty cool. Default. Yeah, that's pretty handy. So nice little counter, something to be a little bit different. Recent posts. Once again, now this is just basically your recent blog posts. At the moment, it's just got the headings. I can display the featured image, excerpt, the date if I want to, categories, comments, newest to oldest. I can have the items down to 4, or I can have a grid. So you can change the columns in the grid. So you can actually create your own blog page with this stuff and not actually have to rely on WordPress to populate it for you. So that's a pretty handy feature. One thing I find it could be handy for is I know that in certain themes you only have a limited layout that you can choose from. So if you have other options, you can simply just create it in the WordPress editor. Now, one thing I will do also, I'm going to remove this block. I'm going to add in, there's a post slider in here. Post carousel, post slider. Now the custom post type is actually similar to the post, except you can choose to have custom post types in there. But the post slider, we can create these cool slider effects here. Similar to a slideshow, we can choose a number of items. Posts, we can actually get it to skip a number of posts if we want to. We can change the height. So you got a few options here, slide or fade. You can have it simply fade from one to another. So that's pretty handy if you want to have a post slider on your page. The other option also is a post carousel, which is similar, I believe, yes, that's it, similar to the other one, except it's like a slideshow with your posts on there. Now, what also makes this a little bit different, we can choose pages or projects, sorting and filtering. Now there was something here. If you have it on a post, you can exclude the current post, which is cool. Something I did see earlier when I quickly skimmed over this was an option to have display settings, center mode. So yeah, we have a little, you can see the sort of like a tease of the other slides either side of it. So that's a handy little feature as well. Obviously the design of your theme will dictate what fonts and that are on there. Price box. So if you're having a table or columns, you can add in a heading, such as, once again, burger, $100,000. Damn good burger. Buy now. So a little price box there, pretty cool. Obviously you got your color, the same. Border settings for the button. Title tag, we'll go heading 2. So some basic, you get some basic options there for that one as well. And like I said, custom post type allows you to add in different custom post types in there, same as before. Now Get Wid, they're going almost through these blocks actually. Like I said, we've got table and MailChimp, Google Maps. We've sort of gone through pretty much all of them now. And the one thing I really wanted to show you, which I think is a good way to end this video, is the templates. So I'll go to Get Wid Blocks, scroll down to Template Library, Insert Template. Now you see we've got all of these templates in the plugin, and it's almost endless. There's various categories here, such as a hero section you can add in with a button. So if you want to add this particular section, insert template. It looks like it appears to be actually downloading the background, but you can see here we can actually edit this template and make it the way we want it to. So the image, looks like there actually isn't an image, so you would have to pick one. Although it does look like there's an overlay blocking that. That image doesn't want to show up for some reason. Not sure what's going on there, but anyway, not the point with the templates is, if I remove this block again, add another template, it's a lot of predetermined layouts. Oops, back up top. Template library. So it doesn't even have to be that. It can be logo grid, 2-column, frequently asked questions. So there's all these really cool features with the actual template that you can use. So you can actually go in and have a lot of predetermined layouts there and basically insert them onto your page. So it's kind of like the reusable blocks, except when you're inserting it, you're not changing that live block. So pretty nifty, which I think is pretty cool. Because I got such an array of templates here, you can do a search. So sub-hero, image galleries, services, calls to action, about us. So you can see you've got all these pre-made layouts, another way to really quickly get something onto your page. So that is the GetWid plugin. Overall, I think it's got some really powerful features. The majority of these blocks I think are really quite powerful and very interesting. There's a few in there I think are kind of unnecessary and don't really add to it, but you know, nothing is perfect, and as far as free software goes, this is pretty awesome. Like I said, totally free. You can go into your plugins, simply go to add new plugins, add GetWid, and if you're using the block editor on WordPress, you can start using these blocks. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Bit of a long one. Let me know if you enjoy these explore videos I do, where I just sort of open up plugins and editors and things like that and just explore them. So far, they've been received all right, but let me know your thoughts if there's anything you'd like me to explore, and yeah, we can go from there. Thanks for watching the video. If you like it, please give it a like. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe, and as I said, leave a comment, especially if you've got something you want me to explore. Otherwise, I hope to see you again next time. Have a great day.